Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I'm jumping on real quick to do another clip here. So out riding again. Um, and I'm gonna call it a day, but I think at this point I'm just gonna read a little bit. And this part is talking about the path that we take. It says, thereby the path of being unto itself in him, which is its own nature. Thereby the path of nature unto itself is that which it knows, not that which it doesn't, for you are of the path that is, but not that which isn't, meaning you don't know of yourself to that which you are being, only that which you do, for you can only see that which is, which has been, and that which it is going to be. So we're on the path. Everybody's at a different place. And so, and it just goes on more to talk about judgment about the path that we're on and the path that others are on, because we're all at a different place. And so whatever we are now is what we're going through in our experience and our understanding to be of something else. Thereby to be of it or not is that which you be too, which is by choice. And so we choose what we're being on the path of where we are, which is by choice in the being of it or not. Thereby am is by choice in being, whereas I am already is. So our higher self already is, and we are where we are, right? So thereby it is only where it is that I am, being that is by choice. Thereby choice is the being of its unto itself that brings it. It's what we choose that brings it about. Thereby it is by voice that you be of yourself, not separate of it, for you are not of it in the being to that which is right or wrong, because there isn't any. For there is no judgment unto source, only that which you are from where you are, that you are being. So we judge our path. We judge what we're doing. We judge what others are doing. We're in our own judgment, which is not always a bad thing. It's about, okay, even in judgment, we're like, okay, this is where I'm at. I don't want to go this path. That's a form of judgment, right? So it's not saying that we're always in judgment of others, that they're doing bad or wrong. It's just being in judgment of the path. Okay, what path am I taking? Where am I going? What am I choosing? So there is that, judgment, because we have to, it's not really judgment, it's analyzing, it's thinking, it's contemplating, it's like, okay, choosing, right? So by there, the bringer of life unto itself is in him to your own suffering, or that which is not, which is your bliss. So we get to choose, which is either, is in of itself being love, meaning to be gentle with yourself and your creating, meaning to be of its own awareness unto itself, not them, right? So we want to be in aware of ourselves. We do want to take in consideration, others that are outside of us, but it's generally, our own creating, right? So it's not them that we want to create our lives by their standards or their judgment, things like that, but where we are, right? Thereby the creating of others that have gone before you, which is to them themselves, not you. So you have that which you're being in alignment to source, right? Which is the path, or you're being in alignment to yourself, which has been before you. Because when we're taking up and we're a part of our parents, we're taking on what they have been. So we have their experience within us, right? And so we have the option to choose that or to choose something different. We can live that, which is a part of them, or we can live, something different. To themselves, not you. Thereby I am of life, or I am of it unto itself, in being, which is in him to that which isn't, which is source, to that which is in of itself, being that which is I am, right? So the I am being, which is my Laura self or source being, for it is not right or wrong, meaning you can change your life at any time, right? So you're not destined to be anywhere, because you can choose to be something else at any time somewhere else. You have no destiny. You're in the creation of creating as you're doing it, right? You do have a direction where you are from this point of moment in time, but you can always change that. It's not written in stone. Thereby it isn't in of itself a right place for you, for you are of it unto itself, and being that which determines itself in the rightful place, right? So it's what we determine to be right at the moment. And so there shouldn't be any judgment because that's what we feel is right in that moment of where we are, right? So whenever paths lead to each other or there's change in a crossing of a path, we have to come to decisions. Is this the right path for me or is it not, right? And we have the right to determine and choose something else other than what is being. And from there, right, it's right in the moment, right? So there is only the rightful place, meaning to be that which you are, which is to be that of source, not itself separate, for I am of myself, whereas I am is, and of it separate. So we're of both, right? And it's just where we are that we're seeing from. Thereby it is the discrepancy in being that which you are from that which you are not, which is to that which it is being, meaning to see from that which is or which it isn't, that is being present unto itself, which is that which is being, presented to yourself. So from where am I, what's being presented? Because what is being presented is where I am now, which is of the past. So the choice that we made in the past, which brings us to the present moment, and it's whatever's being present, what's being present unto us. Like, am I being my true self or my false self? Which one am I being unto itself? And being that which you are, that you know of your own name, to that which you call it, right? So there is no right place, but in the not right of the place is the rightful being. So there's no wrong, right? So in your not being of the right place, this is what I'm getting, for not being in the right place, we are able to make the right choice in the being of it. So thereby it be's no wrong, right? And it's just being in that choice of choosing and allowing it. Thereby it is not of its rightful name, for there is no name unto source, only that which you are, that is judgment of itself in its own being, meaning that which you call yourself in being, not that which isn't, for I am is in of itself being source, whereas I am is that which isn't, being that which is human, meaning I have collected a lot of things along the way that isn't of its own nature, meaning I made it up to that which I believe was true, but it isn't. And that is by the path that I have chosen, which is that which I have taken, meaning I am of myself separate, to be that which I am, but that which I cannot see of that which it is. Thereby I am being, meaning I am of source. I can only not see it. So when I'm not being my true self, I'm not seeing that I'm source, my own creator. I'm believing and blaming others to be, the cause of my own suffering and my choice and my experience, when we're all the creators of our own experience. And we have the freedom to do that. Source is not in judgment, right? It gave us free will. It gave us choice. It gave us to be whatever we want to be. So thereby I'm always on the right path, not the wrong path, for it only appears to be separate of itself to that which has been taken, meaning to end up where it is that you don't want to be at the moment. And is that which you are being of the next thing, which is in full alignment, and being not that which isn't, right? So you're in alignment with what you've chosen, right? We just don't always see it, and we don't always see that we're being source, which is our own creator. Thereby it is by the path, that the right path, that you be of, even in your suffering. So even in your suffering, you're being in the right path, because from your suffering, then you can choose something else. It's that opportunity, it's that opening to where you're able to choose something else when you're aware of your own awareness of suffering, right? Because then you can be like, oh, well, I don't want this. So even in your suffering, in your right path, because it's what you chose, right? You chose to suffer so you can see from that perspective, because it's all perspective in what we're being, right? Which is of the path less taken, right? Thereby it is by the right path that you be of, even in your suffering, which is of the path less taken. So not everybody takes the path. We always take our own path. And it's okay to be on our own path. There shouldn't be any judgment just because we don't choose what other people choose, or they don't choose what we choose. Meaning I am of the right path unto itself, not others. Meaning you are not lost unto itself in heaven, which is source, which is the being of it, to that which Source has imagined for us. So Source has imagined much more for us, which allows us and leads us to what it is that it is imagining for us, right? So you imagine, Source is imagining for us, right? It's us, when we're not in alignment with that, we suffer and we start feeling the disconnection, and we realize that, we aren't where we want to be or where we want to be, right? So thereby meaning to be of the dream unto itself in him, which is the false reality. And then there's the dream of Source, right? What is it that Source dreams for us? Unto him and its relation or its related, which, the relation is Source, related is by, our physical being, which is, our world that we live in. Thereby meaning I am of it, to that which is the creation of it, to be something more than its, which is that which is I am, for I am of him, in its own being, to be of a bringer of life, meaning I bring it to life. Whatever I'm choosing, I bring to life. Thereby am it for a reason, which is that which I have been through, for I cannot be of something else to be what I am if I have not found it where it is that I am. Meaning, we have no awareness of something that we're not or haven't been, right? So basically, we choose to be of something, in order to have that awareness, right? So thereby I am of the right path, no matter where it is that I am, for all paths lead home, which is love. Thereby I am of it, which is the right path for me unto itself, not always for others, which is the judgment of itself and being, which is unto them, not him, that which was given, meaning I am of myself in being that which is at the right time, in the right place, in the right space, always. To be of it, which is its own nature, meaning to that which it knows, that has taken up and put down. So the taken up and put down is the awareness of Source, the awareness of myself as human form. Thereby to be of it, to that which can't, is that which I be, to that which Source can't. For Source is love, we aren't. So it's not that we don't have the ability to love, it's not we're always in that space of love. Meaning we have the capability or capacity to create that which is from different perspectives. So when we're not in alignment with Source, which is love, we have the ability to create other things, right? Source can't. So basically that's what's saying, because Source is love and it's nothing other than love, so it can't be anything else, but we can. So we have a little bit more, not that we have more than Source, because Source already is everything, but we have the ability to be something else other than. We get to choose. And to do that, we have to be in that perspective. So we have the experience to see from that perspective. So when we're in that space, being from that place, to have that perspective, right? We shouldn't be judging. So we get to pick our path, right? And so the path is where we're going to be and have that perspective. So that's pretty much what that's saying. The whole paragraph saying, and then it goes on and it talks a little bit more about that. Thereby to know itself and its being is that which it is being, from where it is that you are, not that which you are. For you are Source in its being, that is where you are not who you are, being in the moment. For you can be anything unto itself in him, to that which is separate. So you can be anything that you want in separateness. You can be dark, you can be light, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can be frustrated, angry, mad, hateful, whatever you want to be, because you're not in that alignment. You have that leeway. We have our dualities. We have our ability to be whatever and create, right? In Source, it is the being that it is, which is where you are, not who you are. And so in the experience, a lot of times we get stuck in like, am I this? Am I in this? Is this me? Who am I? Right? And because like if we're in hate, like we take it personally, which is our identity and our attachment to the situation, which is experience. But We're only of the experience. We're experiencing it of our creation, which is the dream. We're not really it. We're not our experiences. We're not the mind. We're not the body. We're not. This is all temporary. It's the dream that we're dreaming. You know that source isn't dreaming. Dreaming's dreaming. Is source is dreaming of love, right? We're dreaming of everything else. So we're in the illusion, right? And so that's kind of what it's saying, really. And so when we get into these situations and these things, that we deem not to be, good or bad or, in judgment, it's like we have this tendency to be attached to it because we think it's who we are, but we're not. We're not it. We're separate from it. It's just our experience. And we have to bring our distance from the experience to who we are so we can see from a different level of awareness. So when you're attached to the situation and experience, you're in the experience, you think it is you, and you like right up close. It's almost like being right up close and personal. And then like if you imagine yourself taking a step back from it, then you have a different level of awareness about it. And then if you take another step back, you have another different level of experience from it. And then you take another step back, and then you have all these different levels of awareness. And oh, I see it from this perspective. Oh, I can see it from this perspective. Oh, I can see it from this perspective. You have different perspectives of one situation. And so like if you ever had the experience where you're talking to somebody and it's like they have an issue, and I know I have this, awareness because I can see it. And it's like when they're talking about a situation, the clients that I see, if they're having a situation, they're like in the experience, the situation. And so and me as the observer from the outside looking in as they're talking about it, it's like I can see from the other person's perspective that they're having the issue with, and then I can see from their perspective. So I have both perspectives going on, right? So that's the two different perspectives. So everybody has their own perspective of a situation. There's never one scenario that has the same perspective of it. Everybody's going to have a little different because that's where you're coming from. That's who you are. You have your knowledge in the background that you have brought with you until this present moment, so you can see from where you are at the moment about the situation, right? And it's when we don't have that awareness, that clarity, or that situation, that we become in the moment of it so we can. And that's why we get so attached to certain experiences. It's like being very up close, and it's present with that situation. It's not seeing from a different perspective. So if you don't have the knowledge, understanding, and awareness or clarity on it, that's where you get into the experience, and you take on that role like if it's you playing that, and it's these different levels of being that you're seeing from, right? Am I in this experience? Is this me, or is this not me, or is this perspective? And it's like these different levels of awareness. Hope that makes sense, right? So to that which is separate but not one, which with source, for sources of love, it is you who isn't, which is to be of different streams of consciousness, to be that which isn't love. It's it's not that you're not love, it's just that it isn't being love, right? So you have these different perspectives going on. Thereby the levels of love unto itself and being, that which is and that which isn't is of itself and choosing. We get to choose which we want to see from, right? So it's not us being the experience, it's us having that experience depending on where we are in that stream of consciousness, right? So it's when we don't have the knowledge and awareness of it that we tend to be in the experience as ourselves as the first player, not the second player, of the observer, of the producer, the production. We have all like these different plays and pieces going on, right? So we're going to be any of those at that time, right? And so from there, like for instance, if you've been abused, you will have that experience firsthand. That's your firsthand experience. So when you've healed that, now you don't have the experience, but you see it in the outside world, right? So now you become in a different perspective of level in it, right? So you have been it which really isn't you because you are source, but you've been in the experience as you, the experiencer. Then you have the observer, which is the effect of being in it. So now you can see from that perspective because you've been it. And then you have the awareness of it, that which got into it, so you know not to be of it anymore, right? So it's still different levels of awareness and perspectives that are going on, that, and then you can choose something else, right? Because when you're no longer in that firsthand experience, you get to choose something else. You can see from it, you know it, and you understand it. And for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Like, I grew up with abuse in my family, right? And alcohol and drugs and things like that from my family. So I know that experience from observing it and watching it. And so there was a part of me at one point where I started slipping into it, but then I pulled myself out because it's like, okay, you have a choice to be of it or you don't. You don't have to be it. You're observing of it. So you understand it from that perspective. And so when you are in that perspective, then you have an understanding, because you cannot understand it if you don't know it. So you have to be it in order to understand it. So in the being of it, which is the creation of it, so you can experience it firsthand, then you have the awareness, right? So I kind of, myself, I was drinking for a little bit, and so I had the experience of it, right? And so then when I backed out, I was like, yeah, this isn't what I want. This is not me, right? So I chose my different path. So I have both the being of the experience, and then I have the experience of the observer of my family doing it. And so there's these different levels of consciousness. But so it's like having that, awareness, right? Thereby the title. Okay, so thereby the levels of love unto itself and being, that which is and that which isn't, is of itself and choosing. We get to choose. Thereby the title self is that which it gives to it, which is by its name only, meaning that which you think you are, but you aren't, right? It's just your being in that experience of it. Thereby you are not by name, only that which you be to it, meaning to give it meaning unto itself, meaning you give meaning to unto itself that you think you are in that space, right? But it's just the experience. It's your attachment to it, right? Which is a relation in order to understand it, because you cannot understand if you're not or haven't been it, right? You just don't have that awareness. You can't understand it, right? So that's why we have experiences, so we can, and that's why we choose them, right? Unto itself that which you believe in, thereby you are it unto itself. And believing you are of the wrong path when you're not. You are there to have the experience. Doesn't mean you need to stay there, and it's not that you don't change it or you can't change it. But a lot of times we think we're on the wrong path, but when we are on the wrong path, we're on the right path, right? So it's just that we don't see it. So there is no wrong path. When you are not, it is that of the creation, which is by you, from where you are not that which you are not. Thereby is not who you are, it is that which you believe yourself to be, of being where it is that you are, for you know of yourself not. That isn't. Which is for all the right reasons unto itself, to be that which you aren't, being for others. So it is the creation of itself and being that which you are, from where it is that you are, to see not to be. So it's just, so again, it's not being, it's just being in that experience on the different levels of awareness, so you can have the understanding from those different perspectives. So from that one perspective, you have a lot of options to see from where you are, right? And so it's almost like an enveloping of the experience to yourself, where you believe that you are it. So I don't know if that makes sense. That you are only that which you are being yourself, not source, for there is no judgment unto source in your being, only yourself, meaning you judge yourself for it in the being of it. For source knows your reason for being that which you are, that you cannot see, meaning it sees where you are headed, meaning it has the awareness and wherefore to know that you are where you are because you're going there to be of something else, not that you're there to be who you are because you're not your source, right? Source has the knowledge and the wisdom and the wherefore to know that you are of the experience to be of it, so that way you know. Why there's no judgment by source, only who you are, right? So we judge where we are in the path. So there is no judgment by source, only that which you are from where it is that you are, which is by others, condemning of itself and being, which is the acceptance of self, right? So the condemning of others is actually a outside view in, which is actually a projection of ourself into our own judgment. So when we judge ourselves, we're projecting out to see, and that's what it's like, kind of like you put out what you get back what you put out, right? So it's kind of like that, but it's when we are judging ourselves, it's going out into the world and it's coming back, and so we get the judgment from other people of where we are, and because that's what we're where we are in that space, right? Thereby the realization of where you are being is through others, because we can see what we're being from others, from what we're reflecting out, and so what they are seeing of us because we're putting it out, not in of itself being for others. So it's not that we're being for them, it's what they're showing us that we're putting out for yourself, which is a reflection of itself unto itself and being, which is by its name that we would call it. So by its name is by what we determine, right? It's not really having a name, it's but why what we determine to be good or bad. That's what's by name, right? So we're calling it out, right? So we're like, oh, that's bad, that's good, that's bad. And then it says, thereby it is to be more like source, which is in the reason, in being that which you are, that isn't, that others are seeing. And it is that which is to be of love unto itself, for you cannot be of love until you have been that which isn't, which is to know what is and that which isn't. So you can't even be love if you don't even know what it isn't, right? So how can you be of something if you don't know? You can't. You have to know all perspectives. So you would see and know and have the experience of not being love, so you would know, okay, this isn't love, right? So what isn't love? Not always what is love. So what isn't love, right? It's the absence of. In order to experience the absence of, you have to be without it. So we are without it in the experience to experience it, so we know. And there then we can be love. Okay, what is love? Because if you don't have the experience, then you don't know, right? You have to experience it. Thereby to be the road ahead is to be of love, meaning to be that which you really are, right? Which is the building up of being that which you are not, being of it into the world. Thereby you are of love by your standards, which is to stand in place of judgment of itself, which is free in its expression. And I'm going to end it there. But yeah, basically it's like, let's not have judgment of where we are on our journey, because even in our suffering, we're on the right place, we're in the right path, and everything is to be of love of where we're going eventually. It's not always, not right now where we want to be, however we would like it, but it's what we are choosing. And a lot of people may be like, well, I didn't choose that, but we did actually, right? We chose, we just didn't know what the result would be until we actually had the experience of it, because one path and choice and decision leads to something, right? And so whatever that is what it ends up being. And it's like the seed of that choice that has been planted in choice, in choosing, that has sprouted, right? So we don't always know what that's going to be, because we don't know of our past. We don't know what we've put out there and how it's going to come to be, like all these pieces that's going to play out, and who's going to be a part of it and who's not going to be a part of it. How is this going to come about? And so it's being careful in the choices that we make, and just having that awareness when we do make our choices. Okay, what am I creating? Where am I planting the seed? What seed am I planting? And so for instance, if you're looking for another job, where is this job? What is this job? And then we get a job that we think we're leaving one job to get to another job to be in a better job, and then end up being the same thing, and then you're still unhappy, and so then you go to another job, and then you and it's kind of like that. So it's like the seed that you're planting, where are you planting it from? Are you planting it from um, lack, negativity? Are you planting it from love, a place of abundance, right? So because from wherever we're planting the seed is what it's going to come out to be in the experience, and a lot of times what we've been in the past comes and people talk about it like karma, like our cycles, right? So whatever we've chosen in the past may come to fruition in this life or next life or whatever it is that it's going to show up by the time it goes through this cycle, right? Whenever it has all these pieces coming together to create that experience, and then we have the experience and it's like, now I get it, and you have these light bulbs go off, right? And so it's like, okay, I get it. And then that's the awakening, that's the awareness coming through, like, and it teaches us a lot of lessons, and I'm getting chills, and it's what we believe in, that creates the realities that we're in, right? And it's just the planting of the seeds, right? So thereby the realization of where you are in being is through others, not of itself, and the being of others, because it's not really them, it's their reflection back to us, which is the reflection of itself unto itself and being, which is by name. So it's not really, as I said, a name, it's by what we determine it to be, which is meaning by name. Thereby it is to be more like source in the end, which is the reason for being, that which you are, that isn't what others are seeing. I mean, others aren't always seeing, when we are in that space of being, like our experience that we're choosing to be. They don't always see it as, okay, they're creating something else, right? They are where they are, but we know, they think that's what it is, but it's actually in lieu of something else in the future. So even in that space of being in our creation of suffering, it's for the purpose of being something else at another time and somewhere else, right? So because then when we have the awareness, we can make better choices through our awareness, right? Thereby it is that which it is to be of love unto itself, for you cannot be of love until you have been that which isn't, which is to know what is and that which isn't. Thereby to be the road ahead is to be of love, meaning that which you are, which is the building up of being, that which you are not, being of it into the world. Thereby you are of love by your standard, which is to stand in place of judgment, not itself, which is free of expression. Thereby it is by that which you believe to be true or false unto itself, is that which you can or cannot see of itself in creation, meaning to create of itself in a way to see it, that which is love, and that which is not is to be by its own being. And then it just goes on. So I'm going to leave it there for that part. But really cool stuff coming in, and then it goes on to talk about being, I am consciousness, in this part, and its relation, it's related, which I already mentioned. But, and it's like, Source doesn't have any judgment because Source knows, right? It's us who has the judgment because we don't know. Source knows it's all for the good, our suffering and everything that's being created, but it's us who aren't aware of it if we're not aware of it. All right, well, that's it for today, and yeah, thanks for tuning in for this little clip. Any questions or any thoughts, drop them below. How you would think about it, or any, if you're understanding it, if you're not, and can kind of maybe do a video on it and clear up a little bit. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Happy journeys.